Time once again for another edition of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast with you as always, Jeff Chadiha. He's from the NFL Network, NFL.com. Sam McDowell is the columnist for the Kansas City Star. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're talking Chiefs football here. Is there any reason to believe that the Commanders can hang with these Kansas City Chiefs the way they're playing? We'll talk about that. What should game 2 for Rashee Rice look like? How many more snaps? What kind of production? Will the Chiefs' run game continue to improve? Can the Commanders take advantage of the Chiefs' backup offensive lineman, Daron Payne, one of the best defensive tackles in football for the Commanders? Can the Commanders hold the Chiefs under 30? No one's been able to do it for the last 4. Andy Reid sounded optimistic about Josh Simmons. We might even get into Harrison Butker. We'll certainly get you to our keys to the games. And, of course, we always like to wrap everything up with some predictions. That's what we're doing right here, right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Off and running here on a Friday. If you catch us via the podcast, thanks for listening. You can be a part of the conversation, as many are already lined up right now in the chat room. Remember, we stream live Fridays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Trying to fit everybody's schedules, what we're doing here. Let's get to the Chiefs and the Commanders. Any reason to believe, Jeff, that these Commanders are going to hang with this red-hot Kansas City Chiefs team?
Well, not based off what you saw in their game against the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys put 44 on them. And look, the Commanders coming into the season, you knew what they wanted to do. It was no secret. They built up their offense, going out and getting Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil, and they wanted Jayden Daniels to light the world on fire. And he's not playing. A couple of receivers are coming back. McLaurin and Deebo will be able to play in this game. But defensively, they're a nightmare, and they've been a nightmare going into the season. They were a nightmare last week, and I think they'll be a nightmare again on Monday night. They just don't have the firepower with Dorrance Armstrong, their best pass rusher, not being available, being out for the season. Von Miller's like 45 years old now. The back end of the defense is shaky. Marshawn Lattimore is not playing like he used to play. So I think the Chiefs are going to score a lot of points, and I think the Commanders are going to have a very frustrating night.
Yeah, you mentioned Dorrance Armstrong being out 5.5 sacks in 6 games before he went down. Sam, that does hurt them. That's one of the places you thought maybe they could get after the Chiefs. What do you think about it? What are the expectations? The point spread is 11.5, 12.5. It's definitively that the Chiefs are going to handle business in this. Do you see the path to victory for the Commanders?
Well, I see a path. I wouldn't say anything that's likely, but I thought the Chiefs dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars 3 weeks ago, and a pick 6 at the goal line had a 12.7 EPA impact on that game, and all of a sudden you lose the game. So yeah, there's a path, but I say that while also saying the Chiefs can't be focused on the turnovers, which is, I understand, like a weird thing to not prioritize. But I think one of the reasons Patrick Mahomes is playing better is because he's playing looser. And so I don't think he can go into a game and saying, man, I just can't turn the ball over tonight, because I think one of the reasons he's having an MVP-like season, that he's an MVP betting favorite, is because he's been more aggressive this year. And I think you want that Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, there's a path where they lose this game. It hasn't been that long, right, since the Chiefs struggled with these sorts of teams. I do think it's meaningful that they did not struggle with the first pretty awful team they played a week ago. And this Commanders team, I've never liked this Commanders roster other than the quarterback. They don't have the quarterback, and I don't think it's a great roster.
Well, they do have Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. They were full goes in practice. It will be Marcus Mariota instead of Jayden Daniels. Marcus Mariota, you might remember, Sam, beat these City Chiefs in a playoff.
I remember walking into that stadium. But you're talking about the
Titans,
just because I knew what you're talking about to Phil and everyone else where he cut his own pass. I remember walking into the stadium that day and saying to a couple colleagues, wouldn't this be the worst playoff loss they had? And this was before the game. And it statistically, by the way, it was like they were favored 8.5. Even that Lynn Elliott game, they were favored 8. The irony to me, because I really got to thinking about this yesterday after you were at the pressers as well, where Patrick Mahomes brought it up, and then I asked him a follow-up about what he learned. But the irony about that is Marcus Mariota came back to win that game, right? He snatched a game out of nowhere. That was Patrick Mahomes' very last game as a backup quarterback in the NFL. That's the role he's occupied now. And just for the hell of it, I went digging into some of the stats, and in games that he has trailed at some point, he's 63-33. 63-33. Every NFL team since that time has a losing record in that situation. The only team that's above 500 is 63-33. Like, to me, it's kind of funny. Like, I phrased it this way in a story I wrote that, like, Mariota stole that game, and then, like, Patrick Mahomes stole his act after that game, because Mariota's won 8 games since then. 8 games since then. Patrick Mahomes has won 17 playoff games since then.
Yeah, that is amazing. That was the last. I wish I could say that was the last time I threw a tantrum. But the fact that they did not go to, I had been screaming about Patrick Mahomes being put in since the point in the season when the Chiefs fell to 7-6.
Well, here we go.
How are you not making this change? So it's been a few years since I brought that up, but that is the most frustrated I've been as a Chiefs fan watching the Chiefs under the Andy Reid regime, is that he did not pivot to Patrick Mahomes at some point during that season.
Isn't that to me, that's the defining part of the past versus the present, is that game. That game fits so well into the Chiefs' past.
Yes.
And everything since does not.
It defines the first wave of the Andy Reid era with Alex Smith, looking good, expectations, and then not able to get it done, not able to finish it. Marcus Mariota, can he be a problem in this game, Jeff? Is there a way that he creates issues? Is it just that, the Chiefs spend all week going, it's Mariota, we got this?
I don't think they do that. I mean, that's how it could be a problem if you just completely diminish his possibilities and just underestimate him. I mean, he has won a game for this team, but again, if you saw him last week, and granted that was in an emergency situation, Jayden Daniels got hurt, and he comes in. He has not been impressive in a long time. I was surprised from that stat Sam put out there that he played 100 games in his career. I didn't know he had done that much, which speaks to how much he hasn't been a factor in the NFL scene. He's got weapons. I think they'll have a competent game plan. I don't think it's going to be what we saw last week, put it that way. I don't think it's going to be like the Raiders game, which is complete, whole different level of blowout. I think it's going to be more of a slow burn, probably more like the Ravens game, I would suspect, more of a feeling out process, because the Commanders are going to come in here knowing they have to play well around Mariota. And so much of their offense has been built around letting Jayden Daniels do all this different stuff. So we're going to see a different version of themselves as far as strategy goes. But as far as being able to win the game, I don't see him winning this game unless this whole team plays at an amazingly high level.
Yeah, I agree. I think the drama in this game is, do they cover? Like, is that where it is? Like, I think the gamblers are the only ones that may have drama in this game. Sam, which is, I will point out, scary to me, because it's a look-ahead situation with Buffalo sitting on the other side.
Oh, the old trap game, huh?
Well, no, it's not trap. It's not a trap, because you'd have to be coming off something. To me, a letdown with a look-ahead is a trap. You can have a letdown game. You can have a look-ahead game. When you have a letdown with a look-ahead.
It's only a trap game if they struggle.
That's right.
What should game 2 for Rashee Rice look like, Sam?
I think pretty similar to game one. I mean, Andy Reid, it was kind of funny, mentioned yesterday that they were trying to get him 40% of the snaps, and he wound up at 41. It's like, right, but he set out every play in the fourth quarter to drop down to 41% of the snaps. So, which tells me that like game two workload is going to be entirely dependent on how competitive is this game in the second half. But when he's in the game, I expect the Chiefs to continue to use him like they used him in game one. And what I mean by that is like short throws. You know, he had the second shortest average depth of target among there were 47 receivers target at least 5 times last week. He had the second shortest average depth of target. There were 35 receivers who had at least 7 targets. All of them ran a lot more routes than Rashee Rice did. Like they treated him like a number one wide receiver, and they threw to him short. And so that's the same role I expect him to occupy for much of the year.
Yeah. I will, by the way, I do love the conversation. How about our buddy Renee from Italian Delight? Coming in here, letting everyone know, yeah, come on in. Yeah, I'll be in after 3 today. So if you need pizza or want to take advantage of the $10 lunch specials, Renee, you go see him at Italian Delight. By the way, Nikki, he's the owner there. Nikki's asking. One of our fine sponsors from Italian Delight here joining us in the chat room. How about you, Rashee Rice, Jeff? What do you see from him in game number 2?
I agree with Sam. I think it's more of the same. There's no reason with some of these situations like the Raiders and this defense to try to go out there and let's get him 150 and 3 touchdowns. Like I think if you can get him to a place where he's getting more comfortable, you're not putting him in a position where he could, try to do too much and maybe pull a hamstring or do something that's, you don't want to have happen. I think they need to be looking down the road at Buffalo, Denver, and Indianapolis. And so how can he be as close to the best version of himself when they get to that stretch, which is probably going to be the stretch of the season that determines their division championship hopes, their seeding. That's a huge 3-game, sprint for them. And so, yeah, I think that if they're going to throw short passes, easy completions, get him comfortable, that's fine. That's fine. I don't think that there's a reason to try to justify him as a number one receiver, as this huge savior in the offense, building it back up. I think do what you've been doing. Snap count, simple plays, get him going. Your offense is humming. Just keep it simple. I think that's what, and if it ends up being another 7 for 40-yard game, and that's fine.
That's interesting. A need to prove him to be a number one. Is that what you think they're doing by feeding him the ball, or, No,
I think that I think there's a public perception that he's whatever he is a pretty elite receiver. And so I don't think you have – sometimes, Andy, and West Coast offenses are notorious for this. Hey, we're going to pump the ball to this guy to get him going and make him feel good. I don't think they have to do that to make him feel good. I think they do that to get him more used to playing football again. But, again, I don't think it has to be to the level where you look at the stat sheet and say, man, look how great this player is. I don't think they're doing that, but I think there is an element of he hasn't been here. Let's give him the ball and get this thing going.
Oh, what is it necessary for the offense to reach its full potential, Sam, to get him X number of touches? Like, is getting him going part of the plan to open up other aspects of the offense?
Yeah, I absolutely think. I mean, I think, Rashee Rice, this offense is not at its best unless Rashee Rice is at his best. So I agree with Jeff that part of the game plan isn't just to execute best in this game, but to set yourself up best for the games that are going to matter. I mean, it was clear, especially on the first drive when the Chiefs got inside the 5-yard line, where they were just like, we're getting the ball to Rashee Rice somehow. And to the Chiefs' credit, they played off of that on the first drive. Like, they threw Rashee Rice a screen pass right away, and the Raiders were just like, we know this is coming. We've seen this play before. You haven't run it without Rashee Rice, but we know you run it to this guy, and they were ready for the screen pass. And then they faked a screen, and Noah Gray got loose on the sideline that set them up for a 1st and goal on that initial drive of the game. So, yeah, I think that everything ideally runs through Rashee Rice. Like, that's how the Chiefs are going to be at their best, is when teams feel like they have to bring their safeties down to defend that guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the full complement. But I do feel like sometimes I think Jeff's, you said West Coast guys. I don't know. I mean, I never – paid attention to Bill Walsh or Mike Holmgren or any of the guys on that front. And yeah, John Gruden, I know you covered the Raiders and how they were doing things in that offense. But I do think Andy kind of gets on his little pet projects. Like, usually my frustration is his pet project is getting X number of, targets for Sky Moore, right? Those are the things that usually drive me crazy. If he's got targets he wants to get to Rashee Rice, I think it's a good thing until Patrick Mahomes is throwing interceptions because they're hanging all over him and leaving guys, wide open that he had other options to go get. So that would be the only thing that I would worry about. We want to talk about the run game, where it's at, whether or not it's going to improve and keep progressing. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, let's talk about the run game, Jeff. We mentioned Daron Payne, top 10 defensive tackle, Chiefs down, a guard, Mike Caliendo stepping in. Where's the run game in this against the Commanders, and how important do you think it is for it to at least maintain what it did, if not get better?
Well, even with backups, I would suspect they're going to try to run it, and they should be able to run it effectively because, again, the Commanders' defense has not been good all year. They're not especially good against the run. Last 3 teams they played, at least 145 rushing yards. Only one team this team has faced all year long hasn't gotten to 120 rushing yards. And when you begin to look at, again, the makeup of their roster, as Sam talked about earlier, there's just not a lot of great defensive players to worry about. I mean, Bobby Wagner is still a solid player, but he's 35 years old. And Daron Payne is a good player, but he's only one guy. I mean,
according to PFF, Bobby Wagner is more than solid.
Well, he's good. He's played well. He's done a good job given his age and where he's at in his career. He's been a great pickup for them, but they don't have a lot of guys like that. and so it's been an issue for them all year long. I suspect it will be an issue again this week. I don't think the Chiefs are going to go out there and run for 200 yards and Isaiah Pacheco is going to have 120 and 6 yards to carry, but I don't think they're going to have a hard time getting yards on the ground against this team.
Sam, do you see any kind of improvement in this run game against the Commanders, or really, frankly, anytime this year?
Not really. I think the running games, like if you want to be optimistic about the running game, to me, it's mostly that Rashee Rice could pull some guys more outside, but they're already facing light boxes this year. Like that's not been an issue. They're not the Bills who are facing a bunch of crowded boxes. So I guess I don't know why I would be led to believe that the running game is suddenly going to get better. They're like on an EPA basis, they're not bad, but there's a couple reasons for that. Kareem Hunt is really good on short yardage. Those have a major effect on your expected points in a drive when you convert 3rd and 1, when you convert 4th downs. Those are really significant plays. But their lead back is Isaiah Pacheco. Even among qualified rushers, he's 90th in the league in EPA. Like they have a problem at lead back, and I haven't seen anything that leads me to believe that that's suddenly going to change.
And do you see Brashard Smith? I mean, that's the guy that the fans are, want to see. And it's more not him than it is, him. 195-pound 7th-round pick has become the apple of Chiefs fans' eyes, Jeff, for the running game.
You can't hand him the ball. You can't hand the ball 10 times and expect him to be effective. He's good at what they ask him to do, which is catch balls out of the backfield, do the gimmicky stuff. He's not built to be a full-time ball carrier. And that's the problem that I think all of us have always had with that the way this thing is made up. It's like they've got like a piece of something with each guy, but there's also a huge flaw that comes with that person too. And so whoever you're putting in that position, and this is going to show up more against the better teams. Let's face it. They're not dealing with this right now because they're playing teams that are beaten up or just aren't very good. But when you start playing teams that can score points and you can do things, keep up with your offense, and you've got to be more creative and they've got better defenses, this stuff's going to matter. And yeah, so again, I think that it won't matter this week because the Commanders aren't very good on defense. But I think down the road, when they begin playing, let's see the Chargers again. We talked about where they're at. They look like a much better team now that their offensive line is getting better.
They got the Broncos coming out of the bye after Buffalo. Yeah,
the Broncos coming to buy the Buffalo too. Yeah, so you're talking about the two teams that you're competing with for the AFC. Let's remember this team is still in third place in the AFC West right now, and the teams that they're playing that they have to deal with are starting to play better. And so all these things are going to matter, especially the run game.
I think it is of note, and I asked Nick Bolton that yesterday. Like, do you look at the standings? And he said, no, not really. I said, well, do you know where you are? Do you know if you're in the playoffs or not? He said, I'm pretty sure we're out. We started pretty well, and they are out. They're sitting at 8, so that's why. They're out right now.
Who'd be the 7th team then?
And this was before the Charger game yesterday. But here, I'll look it up. I'll have to look it up. But
I guess the Patriots would be the one.
The Patriots are leading the division because they're 5-2. Buffalo's 4-2.
So right now the Colts,
Jacksonville, I guess, is probably ahead of them because they're 4-3 with the tiebreaker.
Yep,
and the Chargers. Yeah,
the Colts are the
Chargers
1 seed.
5-3. Yeah,
Colts are the 1 seed. Pats are the 2 seed. Broncos 3. With the Chargers at 5-3 now. Broncos are 3. Steelers are 4. Bills 5. Chargers are up to 6. Jags 7. Chiefs 8. At 4-3, they lose the tiebreaker to the Jaguars on the head-to-head. So
wow.
They're on the outside looking in.
That game could be huge, huh?
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's one of the. And I asked it to Isaiah Pacheco, and I got some kind of word salad. I don't even know what the answer was that he gave. I was like kind of stunned. I was like, I don't even know how to follow up and try to corner you and pin you down on that. But Nick Bolton was like, no, not really. But I said, well, do you know? And he said, yeah, we're probably out. I said that because I think it. This is. I'm always worried about the letdowns and the look aheads and all that crap. And I was like, okay, are they aware that they're out? Because I think the fans are like, all right, we're good. It's back to normal. We're the Chiefs because they're number 1 in the power poll or everybody's saying they're great. Like the fans have decided that they're there, but the work is still to be done, right? With a lot of difficult games still to be played. They're on the outside looking in. So if they would let down and crap in their hat against the Commanders, it would be devastating to their playoff chances because you've got 2 with the Broncos, 1 with the Colts, 1 with the Bills. You got a lot of. If they would take on a 4th loss right here, they would be in trouble. And so
I don't know. I think that's strong.
You don't think it'd be a problem to have 4 losses with the schedule?
I don't think it would be devastating. No, I mean I still
use the term trouble.
Yeah,
I didn't say devastating.
Well, I think you said devastating.
Did I?
But I said them both.
At least
let me amend it because you're right. Devastating does sound. When I hear you say it, I'm like, all right, slow down. So yeah, that's a good point. So I think it would not be good. Let me amend it to that.
Yeah, you prefer to win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. Can the Commanders take advantage of the Chiefs' backup offensive lineman, Jeff?
Possibly. I mean, these are all hypotheticals. I really see this game playing out. I think the whole key, if the Commanders, I'll be positive on the Commanders. If the Commanders have a chance to win, they have to keep the Chiefs from jumping all over them. They can't be what they did to the Raiders, what the Chiefs did to the Raiders last week, which was get out, game's over, can't get the ball. Like, if they're able to be in a position where they can actually get after the quarterback, that's going to involve them actually scoring some points and being within striking distance, and the Chiefs having to run plays that allow for that. Now, again, I don't see that happening, but I think that is ultimately the only way I see that playing out, that dynamic, the offensive line triples being an issue. I just don't. There just aren't enough. I mean, if you watch the Commanders play, there's no way you'd come away thinking this defense is going to be a problem for anybody, and that's been the case throughout most of the year.
Yeah. How about you, Sam? Do you see that? This being a team that has a unique, with Daron Payne, they have the magic elixir up front, the rest of that defensive line. Do you see them taking advantage and exposing, what Mike Caliendo, who they didn't expose at all against the Raiders, didn't expose them at all?
Well, Jeff mentioned that this defense has been an issue all year. There's been one good thing going for this defense, and it's that they had the 5th highest pressure rate in the NFL this year, and they don't blitz a ton. They're like middle of the pack in their blitz rate. But the main man responsible for that is Dorrance Armstrong, who's out for the year. He leads the NFL in pressure, leads defensive linemen in pressure rate at 19.1%. And now he's out for the year. So I think the biggest concern for the Chiefs was exactly that. And now it's significantly shrunk because I think Next Gen Stats had something about the fact that they were like 3rd in pressure rate when he's on the field. And they're 5th overall. I mean, they're probably middle of the pack without him on the field. So you can neutralize that without even before the game even starts. Like it's tough for me to figure out why that's going to be the Chiefs' biggest problem, particularly when they're getting rid of the ball so quickly again.
Yeah, I agree. And then you thought, okay, maybe they can flood the backfield and still get Mahomes moving around, but when they lose that off the edge, now to me you can give help on the inside. I think they lost some teeth to what it was going to be the game plan for the Commanders.
Well, even last year when they were successful, like a lot of what they did was the offense put so much pressure on the other team's offense that they were able to force turnovers and be more aggressive and get some of those splash plays like against the Buccaneers or against the Lions in the playoffs. And that's how they play. And so once you eliminate the offensive factor, it's just like they can't just like go out there and just hold people down on their own.
I think it's a great point. It's something I've been kind of harping on for the last couple of weeks, and some of these questions we get with the guys. I asked if Steve Spagnuolo, and he said, yeah, when we have a lead, it does make it easier because the other team has to become one-dimensional. I think we saw the Lions game was the glaring example of how different it was, kind of rock fightish the way the Lions wanted it, till those double possessions put the Chiefs in front, and then the Lions had to become one-dimensional. All of a sudden, the defense looked a lot better against the Lions, and I think that's where the Commanders would like to get, but they're 27th in yards allowed, 21st against the run, 25th against the pass, 21st in points allowed. I mean, they're a mediocre defense that needs their offense to help, to Sam's point, and I think that the offense made that defense look better. The Chiefs are getting the advantage of having the offense play well. I think it's one of the reasons why you want them to play well. You want the offense to play well and keep this team playing from in front. Like, I mean, I think we all agree, Sam, that there's a problem with the defensive line, but it hasn't really, no one's been able to expose, like nobody's talking about that nationally, but don't we all sit here watching it every week and go, they have an issue, but the Chiefs playing from in front, it doesn't get exposed the way I think it may one day if they have a bad day.
Yeah, because you could change the Chiefs don't have a terrible personnel group on 3rd and long, on must-pass situations. Like you can move Omenihu inside. You could move Mike Dana inside. You don't want to be playing Charles Omenihu inside on 1st and 10 when the game's tied in the 4th quarter. So the personnel becomes a lot more difficult for the Chiefs in those spots.
Yeah, this stretch coming up, Buffalo, Denver, Indianapolis, all really good offensive lines. That's going to be the referendum on how this defensive front affects the Chiefs' hopes for this season.
Yeah, I do think at least one of them is going to come in and say, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to pound the rock. We're going to make you stop the run, and we'll see if the Chiefs' offense can draw them out of it. We'll see if you need help, by the way, or I should say, if you need help. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait. Get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222. Or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. All right, let's talk about Andy Reid's comments, Sam, about Josh Simmons. Did he, in your opinion, sound kind of optimistic, a little more positive than what we've heard previous?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the first time that, look, the word expanded is not appropriate for almost anything that Andy Reid says at the podium, but it's the most expansive he's been. And you heard me at the last question. I asked a follow-up, and he didn't just cut it off and say, hey, I already addressed that, the way he has been when I've been asking follow-ups about this. So, yeah, I definitely think he sounded more optimistic, and my guess was it was intentionally so.
Yeah. Jeff, did he used the term family issue again? Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's, look, I'm almost to the point. I don't know if they have to qualify it anyway. I mean, if this is something personal with Josh Simmons, you don't have to try to.
I agree.
The media.
I bring it up just because, he made he said, well, he's got a family issue. And when pressed and asked, okay, so it is a family issue. Well, personal matter. Yeah. Then he steps back and says personal matter. And maybe it's just, like I said, I don't know where his head is, but I do think it's of note when he makes a point to change what he's saying that he again said family issue this time.
Yeah, no, I think one, if you're going to be vague, then it doesn't really matter what you're saying. So to me, like however they try to classify it doesn't really matter as much. To me, the important thing was communication. That he used that word, that we've been in communication with him, which would suggest they were not in communication with him, in some way, a fashion or form at some point, which is the bigger thing here. And again, I don't know what's happening with the guy, but having been in these situations before with other teams and other players many years ago, I think it's important to know whatever's happening with this guy, like they got to figure it out as an organization. And what's becoming really apparent is there's something happening with him that they did not foresee coming, that they're trying to get their hands around. And so they're taking their time. And I think they deserve some grace with how they're doing that. But again, when you're running a business, a professional football team, you have to be mindful of people not showing up for work or not being able to communicate with you and what that says. And so I think it's positive that he's talking to them, but it also suggests that there's still more work to be done before he's going to be back here.
Let me also add this to the equation, because Jalen Moore's played two pretty good football games the last couple of weeks. And if you're playing the Commanders this week, which Josh Simmons will not be playing, and then you're playing Buffalo next week, and I don't know if Josh Simmons comes back on a Wednesday, if you want him playing on a Sunday. So let's say hypothetically that Jalen Moore plays against Buffalo, and the team has won all 4 games with Jalen Moore, if that happens, because this is a plausible theory, and then Josh Simmons comes back, then what? I don't know that Josh Simmons as a rookie, and Josh Simmons played really well for a rookie, but if you're being matched and you feel like you're in a rhythm, like I think there's a question of what happens when he does return.
Yeah, I think it is, and I get tired of hearing this. It's a good problem to have. But having depth at offensive tackle, having 2 guys that you feel like you can trust at left tackle is not a bad thing.
Oh, right? And by the way, the right tackle's playing the best he's played.
Agreed. There seems to be a bit of a wake-up call that's occurred there as well. Oh, that guy can play. Because I think it's a motivator for both if he does come back, because, if you're Jawan Taylor, you can't be like, well, I got my spot, I'm on the right side. Well, Jalen Moore looks pretty good. We now, it's not a question of wondering, can he play well in this Chiefs scheme? We've seen him play well in this Chiefs scheme. And so, I think it incentivizes Jawan Taylor to play better. And I think we're seeing some of his best football. So, I agree with you. I think that's an interesting point, Sam. I hadn't really thought about that, but would you turn away from what's working, Jeff? Like if he comes back and you've won 4 straight games, would Jaylen Moore, you're just going to immediately go right back to Josh Simmons. I mean, and I don't think in week one, I think there'd clearly be a week of practice when you'd stay with Jaylen Moore. I mean, a lot of times, Andy, guys practice the whole week, they sit, and they practice another week, then they play. That's kind of his MO for when a guy comes back to practice. I assume it would be at least that, and maybe you don't turn away from Jaylen Moore if if you've been winning games with him.
I agree. I think you stick with Jaylen Moore because he's playing well. I thought if this had happened in the postseason, like what kind of urgency would there be around him? And what we'll have a bigger sample size of Jaylen Moore. We have a small sample size for both these guys right now. They haven't.
Yeah, we do.
There's bigger challenges coming again when they see the Broncos or they see other teams that have really good pass rushers. We'll have a better sense of who these guys are. But I think again, not knowing what's happening with him, it's not going to be he comes back and everything's fine. I think you have to come back and you have to get back into the locker room. You have to get back in with the coaches. I think this is a rookie. This isn't like Chris Jones disappeared. It's like this is a guy they don't really know that well. And so I do think it's probably worth it to have some time to sit down, get acclimated, talk to your teammates, get settled back in. And as long as Jaylen Moore is doing the job, keep going with that. Because I think once Josh Simmons is back here, it's not going to be as simple as just plugging him back in and let him play again.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jeff. He's their brother.
Yeah,
they know him very well.
Yeah,
I do. All of sports has that. Everybody's brothers, and I just that one kind of just nails on a chalkboard too sometimes to me on when we hear it. All right, Harrison Butker, all fixed, right? Made all his extra points, Sam. Looking good. We're all thumbs up on Harrison Butker now.
I guess I'm in the same place with Harrison Butker. I mean, especially if it's more of a mental thing than any sort of part of his kicking mechanism, his wind up or whatever it might be. So, I still think if he misses his first kick on Monday night, that there's going to be the same sort of feeling of panic as there would be regardless of what he did the week before. And to be honest, I think that's the concern that you have about the kicker himself is how does he respond to a miss?
What would so then how many games, what does he have to do where you go, okay, he's fine. It's like, we're all good.
I think he's got to play a different position because he is a kicker. So I don't think anyone feels good about any kicker. And I say that having known that Harrison Butker has been incredibly clutch in his Chiefs career. I actually think it's an underrated part of their dynasty is the fact that he has not missed big kicks in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. So you're saying you subscribe to the Bill Parcells theory? When he was asked about his kicker being on the injury report, they said, well, do you think he can play? He said, I don't need him to play. I need him to kick.
Yeah.
I was like that one. Jeff, what would it take for you to be like, yeah, okay, he's back? Like, how many games without a miss? What kind of kicks does he have to make before he can miss one and you don't go, uh-oh?
Oh, I think it's a big moment situation now. I reference these games that are coming up here. I think he's got to make a big kick in those games or not miss kicks in those games because this is the kind of thing I think about Justin Tucker last year with the Ravens. And granted, there must have been some things happening with him off the field that may have affected his mindset, but it was such a huge change in terms of a guy who's always been the most accurate kicker in NFL history to a guy who was missing big kicks in big moments and cost them, a couple games because of that. And so, Harrison Butker's biggest, most memorable misses have come in some games that they lost. I mean, he cost them a game in Jacksonville with it. And so I think with this kind of thing, I don't trust him until he's actually made a high pressure kick in a big game. You can go out and do it against the Raiders when you're rolling and you can see and there's no pressure. But now with it being a mental thing, I want to see him with a lot more at stake.
Okay. What do we think the keys to this game are? Sam, we'll start with you. What has to happen for the Chiefs to win?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of, flippantly say don't screw it up. But
throw their helmets on the field.
But yeah, I mean, to me, there's one spot where the Chiefs should just really dominate this game, and that's the Commanders have allowed the fourth most yards after catch in the NFL this year. There's a particular reason their pass defense has not been good, and that's it. The Chiefs lead the NFL in yards after catch despite ranking 21st in that stat through 3 weeks. That's how good they've been over the last 4 games. Like, they're lapping the field. and generating yards after catch. It's the reason their pass offense looks good, the reason their quarterback has 120 rating in 3 of his last 4 games. And so I don't know why I would think that would suddenly stop, that the Chiefs would not be able to generate yards after the catch here. Like, to me, this is a dream matchup for their passing game, and their passing game is their engine.
So it's yards after catch. That's it. Feed the yards after catch, and the Chiefs should cruise to victory. Jeff, what are the keys to the game for you?
Don't give the Commanders any hope early. Like, end this as fast as you ended the Raiders game. Come out, take it to them, get an early lead, dominate them, and make them realize this is not a game you're going to win. I think the only chance, again, of the Commanders winning this game is if the Chiefs allow them to think they can win the game. You're not walking in here without Jayden Daniels and thinking you can win this game. And so I think you have to remind them of that every chance you get.
I think that's a great point. I mean, I think if you can start them down a bad road like you did the Raiders, they're going to curl up in the fetal position and take their beating. And I think that would be the best way to go. I will say this. If I had Marcus Mariota, first of all, I will say that Marcus Mariota is the guy that I've always wanted to see the Chiefs grab as a backup quarterback. I'd love to see what Andy Reid could do with him.
He's a good backup for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's worse starters in the league than Marcus Mariota this week.
Yeah. He's not without his abilities. And like I said, I would love to see Andy Reid get his hands on him, and the way Andy Reid will move the quarterback around. I think he could do a really nice job with his mobility. The Chiefs will get him when he's 36 and can't run anymore and doesn't have those attributes. But I think the key is don't let him go Trevor Lawrence on you. Like, if I had Marcus Mariota coming in this game and I were the Commanders, I'm going to go balls to the wall and say, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. Because I think a lot of people are like, well, we can't run the quarterback because we're already on number 2. Screw that. That's your only path to victory, is to really make him a threat. And Trevor Lawrence really gashed this team. And so you've got good secondary people. You need to be able to cover in the backfield. And they've got good, wideouts. So, like, I think there could be a tendency to be like, oh, we're just going to sit back and we're going to make sure that it's hard for him. And then he just runs for first down after first down after first down. That's what I would do, is make sure there are a lot of escape hatches for him, some designed runs, and try to get, the Chiefs personnel to come up and have to bend the run for him to try to get some wide open passing lanes.
There is. I was looking at. I think this was on Sumer Sports this week that that Washington runs the ball outside the tackles pretty well, and the Chiefs have been susceptible to those sorts of runs. So I anticipate that the Commanders, who, by the way, never line up under center. I mean, never are they under center. I anticipate that they're going to do a lot of stuff that gets the quarterback on the move in this game.
Real quick, Joel asked for predictions on KU K-State. He said large part of the fan base is into that game. I'm going to be broadcasting up at Lawrence today for the program. Later on, we'll have Lance Leipold on. He's scheduled to be on the 5 o'clock hour. And I think Travis Goff, the AD for KU, is going to be stopping by. So a little plug for the radio show there. But you got a side. Jeff, have you even looked at it? 2.5 points, KU's favored. They've lost 16 straight games to K-State.
Well, I teach at KU class, and then I had Travis Goff in as a guest speaker yesterday, so I'd be very stupid to go against the Jayhawks right now. So I'll go KU 31-30.
Sam, if not now, when?
Well, I think that's what I said in your Tuesday show. I'll be out there tomorrow, looking forward to it. But I do think KU ends a streak. I think Jayden Daniels has a big game, but they can't get behind. I think KU playing from behind would be trouble. So Jeff's in the right ballpark, I think, on the score. I'll say 30-27 KU.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I do think it's KU's time. I think K-State's been too bumpy for you to just be like, oh, the Cats, they own it. Here you go. But you are right. If the Cats get the run game going and they're playing from in front, long day for the Jayhawks because they'll have a hard time getting Jayden Daniels on the field because K-State will just grind the clock all day. I think that's the path to victory for the Cats, but I'll take KU as well. I think the odds makers know the history on this, and they're still putting KU as a 2.5 point favorite. So I think they probably should be a little bit higher, but they know the history. If you want to even it out, you leave it at 2.5. How about a prediction on the Chiefs game, Jeff? What do you got here? Are you going to unleash the fury?
Yeah, this feels like fury. This feels like some Mad Max apocalyptic type stuff about to go down. So I'm going. I'll go Chiefs 31-14.
Okay, Jeff is on KC 31-14.
Oh.
Is that? Can you remember a prediction that strong?
Well,
Sam?
I was saying, wow, because he has 31-14 and I'm at 31-13.
That's right. We're thinking alike.
Almost identical on KU and this game. So it's incredibly rare that both Jeff and I are wrong. So take it to the bank.
That's right. There's a lot of fury coming out. I know where you're going. Yeah.
Where do you think? I have it written down, so I won't.
I think you're at like 38-10.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, where do you think I'm at?
I think it's like more like 61-7. That's where I think Soren's trying to get to.
I don't know if you can see it. 41-10, 40-10. Can you see
40-10. What did I say? 38-10. That was close.
I got 40-10. You were really close. You were really close, Sam. Yeah, I got Chiefs 40-10. I just figure if when you guys came in at I would have probably picked right around where you are, but I mean, come on. I have
you got to one up it.
Well, I have a reputation to uphold. We know that. We know who is it? Who tracks us? I forget. I'm looking here. Who's always is it? It's not Tad, is it?
No, I thought it was who was
Matt.
it?
Matt.
Matt.
I don't want to let Matt down by he always says that Jeff's the most pessimistic, Sam's the most down the middle, and I'm the most optimistic. I'm the biggest Chiefs. Yeah, Terry confirming it's Matt. And Thaddeus. Damn, that's fury. There's no way to go there. I'm not even the biggest. Nicky 42-10. So. There are people that come in stronger. Listen, our great sponsors always bring it. You can support the Red, Gold, and Bold by supporting our great sponsors like GAN Asphalt and Concrete with free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warranty. They keep your parking lot safe, help you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. If you need that seal coating, it's getting cold. Get that done. Schedule it right now. Go to GANAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot. To our friends at Northland Injury Law. If you have a case, if you've been hurt at work, if you've been hurt in an accident, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. Remember, they're voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years. And thanks to our buddy Renee from Italian Delight, stopping by right there on State Ave. They got lunch specials starting at under $10. Go see Renee slinging the pizzas. He'll be spinning them in the air. He's very proud. He's got a new oven. Go check out his new oven. He's increased capacity. So go see our friends at Italian Delight. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, NFL.com. For Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold Podcast.